Welcome to the 10th episode of the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. I met my today's guest through Pat Longo. Andrew Michilli is a 19-year-old college student and a medium. He suffered with crippling anxiety and night terrors his whole life. After learning about why he was experiencing this, he turned what he thought was a curse into a gift. Now he does readings to heal and to help anyone way he can. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me, Marta.
I'm so happy that you've agreed to come to the podcast so that we can
Of
have the
course. Yeah.
important, meaningful conversation.
Mhm.
Well, every psychic medium I've met so far, including myself, has had a challenging or pivotal point in their lives that led them to become who they are today and
Mhm.
where they are on the mediumship journey of being of service to others. As
Yeah.
psychic mediums, we channel guidance from the source and also support our clients through their human experiences,
Mhm.
frequently with the very same issues that we have faced and with the life lessons that we have had to learn. Being a psychic medium doesn't mean that we get a free pass from all of the life lessons. We all come to Earth to learn certain things. So, by drawing on our own life experiences, we can better relate to our clients, and they in turn find us more relatable. This is when we can truly support, assist, and guide them towards healing. So, Andrew, what's your story?
Yeah. So mine is a little crazy, a little all over the place. But ever since I was born, I never quite was a calm kid. I was always that kid that was crying. My mom had no clue what to do with me. She thought honestly there was something wrong with me. But yeah, I suffered with terrible night terrors. And if you guys know what night terrors are, they're basically just an extreme version of nightmares where I would wake up screaming. And I slept with my mom until I was like age 12 because I couldn't be left alone because I would just wake up screaming all over the place. And from there, I had terrible anxiety. With school was a horrible thing for me. Even getting nervous talking about it now,
Mhm.
I couldn't even walk into a classroom without visualizing the worst. Everything was a negative experience for me, and just I didn't know what to do. Honestly, it just when anxiety hits, it really hits deep with me because it really takes over your physical symptoms and it really takes over your mind, and you really have no clue where to go. Honestly, so yeah, my story kind of took off really. I would say maybe it was almost a year ago. I met with Pat Longo, and she told me I was a medium. And ever since then, my life completely took a shift and changed. I would have never thought I would be doing this work. I've always been obsessed with mediums and things like that, but I never really understood why until I found out I was a medium myself. And yeah, Pat told me I was a medium and that everything I was feeling was from other people, and that I'm an empath, and that really I can communicate with the departed and heal people. So that's really yeah, that's just a quick gist of my story. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah, of
it.
course.
As a society, we talk about the anxiety that arises from our high stress lifestyles, post trauma, and health conditions. We have even begun to recognize the gestational anxiety, with studies showing that the mother's anxiety during pregnancy can alter the neural
Yeah,
connectivity of a developing baby.
yeah,
But the anxiety, as you've mentioned, can result from less commonly discussed causes, such as picking up on the energy of other people, and also while connecting to the spirit realm.
great.
Uh, it might also be related to intergenerational patterns that have been passed down to us without even us realizing, or even to do with our past lives.
Yeah.
Would you be able to share with the viewers and the listeners any techniques and practices that have helped you to cope with your anxiety and night terrors?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that's such a great question because I feel like everyone has a different answer to this. So I always love to hear this. So for me personally, what worked was Pat's method of surround ground shield, and I will explain that later. But basically, I would say praying helps a lot, meditation helps. Any type of thing that you can get your mind off the anxiety is crucial. You need to really what I like to say is almost kind of quiet your mind down. And it doesn't have to be in a sense of like monk meditation, which a lot of people, when they think of meditation, go straight to monks and think that you have to quiet your mind in an insane way. It's
Mhm.
not like that at all. It really is very, very simple when you think about it. You really just have to find a way that you can quiet your mind. That could be listening to music, that could be active meditation, that could be exercise, that could be walking, that could there's so many things that can help. But like I mentioned, Pat's surround ground shield method really, really helped me. And that is basically placing a bubble of God's white light over you and rooting yourself into the ground to really make sure you're grounded. Because my energy, as you can tell, I'm a very hyper person. My energy is all the way up, high vibration all the time. I'm a very hyper person, so I need to really stay grounded in it and envision those roots going to the ground. And especially putting a shield over your solar plexus is so crucial to make sure that you're not receiving and feeling other people's energy. So yeah, no, really, it's difficult because a lot of people say there's only one specific way to cope with anxiety, and it's not that way at all. You really have to find what works for you. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I think it's
Yeah.
very important that you've mentioned about Pat Longo's surround, ground, and shield method.
Yeah.
I also think for those who are completely new to mediumship and energy work, I think it would be important if we can talk a little bit about energy itself.
Of
This
course,
will
yeah.
be useful because, well, you know it, we are energy beings. Everything around us is made of energy. There's
Mhm.
always an exchange of energies around us and involving us. Energy also responds to our thoughts and emotions. So my question for you is how to learn your own energy and how learning what's yours can support you in day-to-day life when protecting your energy.
Yeah. So there's a couple parts to this question that I really want to dive into. So the
Yes.
first part is really understanding your own energy. I'm going to start with. Now, this can be a complex thing for a lot of people, but really, I would say meditation is great for this because you kind of get used to being in your body and you kind of get used to feeling your energy. So even when I meditate, even if I meditate for just 5 minutes, you kind of quiet your mind and you kind of sit in that energy because we're all energy beings, we're all spiritual beings at the end of the day. It's just a matter of actually reminding yourself of that because a lot of people really get sucked into the physical and materialistic things in the world, and it's really, really so crucial and beneficial and important that you really take time to, like I mentioned before, like quiet your mind because you really need to get used to sitting in that energy field. You really need to protect it. And yeah, I really recommend praying as well because praying raises your vibration and you're going to feel it. It's really difficult to explain, but you're going to feel the energy you're in. And yeah, I would say protecting your energy is crucial for this because you're going to be able to distance yourself from feeling other people's energy as well. Like me, like I'm always in school, I'm in college, and it can be difficult around kids because there's so many things going on, especially during these transitions in life right now, dramatic transitions from kids turning teenagers into adults and finding jobs and things like that. And I'm picking up on all of it, so it's
Mhm.
the worst thing. So yeah, no, protection of energy is crucial. Yeah.
Okay, you've mentioned about the power and the importance of prayer, and I also know you have a very strong connection with archangels. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how has connecting with Archangel Michael,
Yeah.
Archangel Azrael, Raphael, and all other archangels helped you and is still helping you in your life?
Yeah, it's funny. I honestly feel like I communicate with archangels more than real people. Honestly,
Mhm.
they're always around me. I always recommend to everyone, call them in, call them in, call them in. I actually was taught by this by a very good medium. Her name's Dawn Marie, and she's under Soulful Gatherings on Facebook. But she actually taught me about this and how you could call in archangels to really balance your energy. But also, it's really really funny because I really talk to them more than real people. They're always around me, even right now. They're always around me. I call in all the archangels, specifically Archangel Michael. I'm very very close with, and I feel his prayer, Archangel Michael's prayer of protection. You could look that online. I say that multiple times a day, at least 20 times a day. It really keeps you grounded, and it knows that someone is there protecting you, even if you don't see them, and even if you don't feel them, they're there. You just have to. It's a matter of reminding yourself of that. So yeah, no, it's funny. I actually have so many archangels all
Mhm.
over because it's just a reminder of protection. It's a reminder that you are whole and you are connected with a cord to God's divine source. So yeah.
Mhm. Beautiful. And do you have any particular daily spiritual practice, anything that you do to look after your vessel, and how do you care about, well, after your spiritual needs, the needs of your soul?
Yeah, great question. Because when I first started getting into this, I was extremely disorganized with everything, and it's really, really important to have I would say, an organized schedule when it comes to working with your spirit and working with your energy. because you kind of need to, it's a learning process. It's a learning process. And you need to know how to get it in order. So first thing I always do is when I wake up, I always pray. I always thank God for waking me up. I always envision white light going over me. The white light is crucial. It's so important. And it really keeps you grounded. It really keeps you connected, like I mentioned, to the divine source. So that's the first thing I do throughout the day. The second thing I recommend is meditate whenever you have time. Either you can meditate in your car, you can meditate really wherever you are. It's almost like daydreaming, just quieting your mind. I also do physical activity. I lift weights, which is great because that's a form of active meditation. But also, I feel like a lot of people complicate this topic more than it
Mhm.
needs to be. Honestly, it's
Yes.
much more simple than what it really is. So, a matter of keeping a form of active meditation, a form of any type of meditation is crucial. But then from there, it's funny. I kind of play it like intuitively, like how I'm feeling that day. So if I need a little more, I'll sit back in my chair and just relax. And I usually bring in Archangel Raphael, which I recommend to everyone. Green light just to heal your body and mind and soul. So yeah, that's pretty much all I do. I kind of like to keep it simple because I feel like simple is better for this. Maybe for me it is. Maybe that's just my personality, but yeah.
No, definitely. I believe as human beings, we tend to overcomplicate things,
Yeah.
and simple things might be much more effective. And I feel like so many people, well, including myself sometimes, I forget about breath, for instance. I think
Yeah.
breathing exercises or even tuning into your own breath, it's very, very important. And if you look at it, well, we take our first breath when we are born and we come here to the earth, then our last breath, well, we take our last breath when we die, but then
Great.
on day-to-day basis, we forget about the importance of tuning into ourselves and taking inventory, how I'm feeling, and really concentrating on, well, taking deep breaths in and out. Do you have any favorite, well, breathing techniques, or do you sometimes concentrate on that, or?
Yeah, so even it's funny you mentioned that because I always had a difficult time meditating, and only recently, maybe a year ago, I actually started meditating, actually, I guess you could say getting good at it and improving at it. What I recommend is really breathing through your nose, holding the breath, and then just letting it go through your stomach. That really helps for me because a lot of the time I feel the energy in my solar plexus, and I almost feel the energy being released through my solar plexus. So I like to say to people, I like to say to clients and things like that, imagine almost yourself releasing the energy through that stomach area because so many of us hold on to energy in that area that it just needs to be released. So yeah, what I like to do is just take a deep breath through my nose, hold the breath for maybe 4, 5 seconds, and then release it slowly. It's definitely good. It kind of gets your brain kind of almost reactivating it how it should have been in the first place, kind of because so many of us don't breathe the right way. I don't know if you know about this, but so many of us really like our mouth breathers and things like that. That's where like snoring takes place and things like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, no, it's really just important to include breath work in your spiritual plan, whatever you want to call it. And yeah.
Mhm. Are there any other ways that people can protect their energies than the ones you've mentioned? I think it's so
Oh yeah.
important.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I could be talking about this for hours. So there's so many ways. First thing I will say is, and I always do this before readings, before talking to anyone. Sage is cleansing your area, cleansing your space, your house, your apartment, whatever it is. You could use Palo Santo wood. That's great. Sage I mentioned is great. Also white candles are great. And crystals are great as well. So I always have like I have selenite here. I always have selenite
Mm,
around, always cleansing your energy,
selenite.
your It's funny, yeah. So always having things like that. And yeah, pretty much I would say your mind's eye is one of the most important things. Even if you don't have, let's say you don't have money to get the sunlight sick or something
Mhm.
like that, that's fine. Literally, it's fine. You just have to use your mind's eye, envision white light protecting everything. That's what I like to do as well. And even I always struggle with visualizing. So even if you can't visualize it, what I always like to say to someone is just feel it. Just say it. Thoughts becomes things, like Pat Longo teaches as well. Like
Mhm.
I know you know, thoughts become things. So as soon as you say something, it's gonna happen like that. So yeah, that's why people really need to be conscious of the negative thoughts that they share into the universe because it's going to come and bite you. So yeah, protecting your energy really just comes down to thoughts become things. Whatever you say is going to happen. So what I like to say is I protect my family, I protect myself with God's white light. And it's done like that. It's honestly done like that. So yeah, whatever way, you just have to find a way that works for yourself. And yeah, it's just a matter of honestly getting used to it. It's a learning experience. Yeah.
Hmm. Thank you. I also
Yeah.
clear and cancel my thoughts on a regular basis. My
Yes.
children have recently asked me in the car, like, Mom, could you just speak it in your mind? Because especially
Yeah.
when I'm driving, I get frustrated and I am not having sometimes the most like positive thoughts. And I keep saying,
Of course.
clear,
Yeah.
cancel, cancel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
so I
When
think
I
that's
was
very
in, yeah.
important.
Yeah, when I was in school for so many years and still am, I years ago I used to be the most negative person, and I never realized how that inflicted pain and how that affected me. I would say it to myself every day, I hate my life, I hate my life. But every day I would be instilling more pain and more hurt in myself without even realizing it. So it's just a matter really of yeah, canceling those thoughts, like you said, and really almost what I like to say is like using your mind as like a filter. So filter in the positive, filter out the negative.
Hmm.
So it's just a matter just being aware of it, because a lot of people really get too caught up with the materialistic items in the world, get too caught up with our physical selves and don't know anything about energy work and things like that. So yeah, it's a matter of filtering in the positive, filtering out the negative. Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the significance of boundaries because they are
of
crucial
course.
when dealing both with the spirit world and here on
Yeah,
the earthly plane. So, have you set any specific boundaries with the spirit world,
yeah,
and or with people?
yeah,
And do they listen to you, like both people
yeah.
in the spirit world and here on earth?
Yeah, no, great question, because a lot of light workers don't know how important boundaries really are. When I first started this and Pat told me I needed to set boundaries, I didn't do it. And that was a really bad decision. I should have listened to her at first. But yeah, no, what I told my guides and told spirit is, especially when I'm sleeping, I used to have, that's why I had such a difficult time sleeping when I was younger, is because spirit was waking me up throughout the night and I didn't realize it. I just didn't know what was going on. I would see shadow figures walking by. I didn't know what was going on. So
Mhm.
really taking that time and setting an intention is so important. Just all you have to do is speak out to your guide, say, "Don't wake me up at this time."
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, it's really like talking to a real person. It really is. So it's just a matter of yeah, letting them know what works for you. So for me, I tell spirit really only wake me up in the middle of the night if it's a crucial emergency.
Mhm.
And yeah, I kind of set up like a do not disturb sign in my head.
Mhm.
I'm sure you know about that, but I never really did it physically. I know a lot of people set up like a do not disturb sign on their door, but I kind of just do it in my mind's eye.
Mhm.
But you know, from there, it's just boundaries are extremely important when either if it's energy, if it's spirits, if it's physical people. I've had to set up boundaries, especially with my family, with like not coming in my room when I'm doing readings and things like that,
Mhm.
because not a lot of people understand it. So it's just a matter, it's a learning experience for everyone. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we had that conversation the other day when we talked about the routines that we follow when
Yeah.
preparing to connect with the spirit world.
Yeah.
And these routines are not limited to us psychic mediums, but can also benefit anyone who wishes to strengthen their connection with their loved ones
Of
in the
course. Yeah.
spirit realm. So I would love to hear about your routine for connecting with the spirit realm. And on top of that, whether you could give some tips or like an advice to those who are just starting their journey of connecting with the spirit realm, how they can
Yeah,
get
of
ready.
course. Yeah. It's funny when I first started off with this, I would start to get dreams of past loved ones. First thing I would say for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't recognize this, is be almost keep like a dream journal, I guess you could say. You don't even have to write it down, but just be aware of your dreams. That's the first thing I would say. Because a lot of people do have visitations and don't even realize they're visitations.
Mhm.
That's my first tip of advice. My second tip is definitely just like I mentioned, meditation, quiet your mind, almost try to filter in what thoughts are yours and what thoughts are not yours. Like for me, I always have mental chatter throughout the day. Like right now, I have people talk in my head
Mhm.
nonstop. So it's just a matter of almost quieting your mind and knowing what thoughts are yours and what thoughts are other people's. The third tip I would mention is automatic writing is great, I would say. Really getting down and just almost writing what comes to your mind. What I like to do and what I recommend to people who actually I learned from a fellow student of Pat Long, Nick Lodato. He taught me how to automatic write, and I was so confused at first because I really
Mhm.
thought it was so complicated. All it really is quieting your mind and channeling through the pen. That's really it.
Mhm.
So what I recommend to people is really just get out a notebook, anything like that. You can even type if you really want to, but I find writing is more easier for me. And yeah, just call in a past loved one, call in anyone that you want to connect with. You can connect with a guide, an angel, a grandfather, a grandmother, whoever you want, and just ask them specific questions and just see what comes to mind. Don't worry about being correct. Don't worry about being wrong. There is no wrong answer when it comes to this. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of actually trusting it. So it's really a matter of using that intuition and actually trusting what you're getting. So yeah, I really recommend though, trying to distinguish your thoughts from other people's thoughts. It can be really difficult at first, and I really thought I wouldn't be able to do this when Pat
Hmm.
told me. I even remember saying to Pat, I was like, are you sure you should be in your class? And she's like, yeah, you should be. And I was almost like arguing with her because I was very, very scared. And
Hmm.
yeah, so, it's a matter of actually trusting what you're getting and trusting that intuition, trusting that gut feeling that people have.
So let's talk about intuition, because
Yeah,
many of us tend to disregard our intuition. I've done it.
yeah,
I can admit
yeah.
I've done it
Oh, yeah,
myself.
yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
we often talk about the importance of what you just mentioned, trusting our gut, and we might have negative feelings about someone, but then we dismiss it, and then we say, "Oh
Yeah,
no, like she's actually a good person." And I think
yeah.
in most of the cases, our initial intuition about that person turns out to be correct.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
what's intuition, and how can we learn to listen and trust it?
Yeah, so what I like to describe intuition as is basically that gut feeling you always have. Let's say you're meeting a new person for the first time. Let's say you have a new teacher for the first time. For me, whenever I went to school, it's funny because if I told my mom about this, she would agree because I always came home saying this. I would always have a teacher. I wouldn't even speak to them, but I would always have, I guess you'd say, a negative or a positive feeling around them,
Hmm.
and it would always end up being right. It's just a matter of trusting that. So really, when you have this intuition feeling, intuitive feeling, whatever you want to call it, it's almost that gut feeling you kind of had. It's just that inner knowing feeling you have. So for me, it's just a matter of paying more attention to it. So what I recommend to people is really when you have that feeling, close your eyes, take a second, and really feel what you're feeling. Know what you're feeling, and kind of use it to your advantage. So for me, just to use an example, when I went into school so many times, I always had terrible teachers.
Hmm.
Um, and I would always know when they were going to call on me. And I would almost play a game in my head. And I know this is going to sound good. I'm not recommending this to people, but I would sit in class, and you know how like teachers would have the sticks with your name written on? I would know every single time, without a doubt, if they were going to pick on me. And every time I got it right, and almost I would play a game with myself, and it would it's like a muscle. You just have to work, obviously, as you
Hmm.
know. So in class, I would sit there just waiting for them, and I'll be like, okay, they're going to say Andrew now, and it would happen. So it's almost kind of using that feeling you have and using that intuition. And a lot of the times people almost feel bad about having negative feelings about someone, but you really have to trust that because there's a reason for everything. There's a reason that those feelings are coming through. Yeah, so yeah.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit about becoming aware of your mediumistic abilities? And yeah,
Of
how
course.
was it
Yeah.
for you?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. So like I said, I met with Pat Longo, as you know, and she told me I was a medium, and I was so confused at first, obviously. I mean, I was 18 at the time, so very, very confusing for a teenager to hear that. But basically, what I didn't realize is all my anxiety that I've been feeling my whole life is, I guess you could say, it's because that I'm feeling other people's energy, and it's because I'm connected with the departed. Now, to explain that more for people that don't understand, all of us have a cord connected to heaven, whatever you want to call it, connected to divine source, whatever you want to call it. And what I didn't realize is that souls are attracted to the white light on my head, basically. So a lot of the times I would have so many physical symptoms that I wouldn't even be able to explain. I've been to the hospital like 5 or 6 times for appendicitis. I've never had appendicitis, by the way.
Mhm.
But I've always woken up with swollen eyes. I've woken up with all these physical symptoms. I have no clue. And turns out like I was literally just feeling other people's energy. So like my mom has a knee issue. When her knee hurts, I feel it.
Mhm.
When someone else is feeling down in the house, I feel it. So it's a matter really of yeah, like I mentioned before, protecting your energy and things like that. But when it came to the mediumship specifically, not just the psychic ability,
Mhm.
um I always was able basically to, for some reason, I always had dreams of past loved ones. And I always, especially with those night terrors, I always
Mhm.
had dreams of people I had no clue who they were. So the more and more I went to Pat's classes, the more mediumship abilities opened up and the more I was able to kind of feel the departed kind of and communicate with the departed. So when reading someone, like I feel them on my left side now, like
Hmm.
immediately, like a snap. But it didn't start out off like that. So I don't want people to get discouraged thinking it's supposed to start off like that. Everyone is at a different learning stage, and everyone's at a different, everyone's at a different path, a different point in that path. So yeah, no, it's a matter of protecting that energy. Yeah.
Hmm. So how do you receive information from the spirit world?
Yeah, so for me, spirit uses all my clairs, but mostly they kind of I would say the solar plexus is like the big thing for me.
Mhm.
I'm clairsentient, which basically means I feel a lot of energy. Especially in school, I'm always picking up on people's negative energy. You just have to press cancel and block that out. But otherwise that they kind of use all my clairs. They use all my senses. It's like a sixth sense basically. They use all my five senses. And yeah, that's pretty much how they communicate with me. A lot of the times, I'll just know things without even hearing it, even things like that. And sometimes I'll hear things. So it's a matter of how that spirit wants to communicate with you. Because some spirits are more developed and more evolved, I guess you could say, than others. And yeah, some spirits are more advanced. So it's basically whatever way spirit wants to message you and wants to communicate with you. And what I always like to say is like it's almost like picking up a phone, but they're gonna almost choose how they're gonna
Mhm.
send the message. So it's almost like that if you think about it. Like they can text you, they can call you, they can FaceTime you. Like it's almost like that. Which like the way I used to say it. Yeah.
Mm. And how have you developed your trust in connecting with the spirit world?
Yeah. So the way I kind of developed the trust, like I mentioned, I would do it in school a lot and kind
Hmm.
of use that. But I've always been I guess you could say I've always had a trouble with my self-esteem and trouble with my confidence level. So the matter of that is honestly just kind of exposing yourself to negative situations, I would say. And I know that can sound horrible. It's almost like exposure therapy. So for me, when I went into school, um, I always had a hard time even walking into school. Even thinking about it now, I can envision the hallway and I would freeze up kind of, and I wouldn't even be able to walk. So for me, it's basically just putting yourself in those situations that you know are going to cause that negativity to happen, and trusting that you actually are connected to God, you are connected to divine source. So but the number one thing what I recommend honestly is prayer. Prayer is key to this because I really do feel once you pray, you're raising your vibration, but also you're kind of working that trusting ability at the same time. So when I pray to Archangel Michael, for example, I feel his presence and I know that I can trust myself. I know that he's there also to provide the trust for me. He's there to provide the protection for me. So it's really a matter of just quieting down your mind and yeah, trusting that gut ability as well, like I mentioned.
Hmm. Okay. Do you connect both with living and deceased people when
Yeah.
doing your
So
readings?
yeah. So a lot of times, I can't really control who comes through. What I like to say is like spirit kind of runs the show. They control the readings. So yeah, no, I do connect with living energies and the deceased. Yeah, every reading is different, which I love to tell people because there's no one people should not have expectations from going to the reading. Like some people go in and be like, I want to hear from my mom. No, that's not. I can't quite call her up and make her
Hmm.
appear. So it's a matter of the spirit actually coming through. So yeah, no, I do connect with that. Yeah.
Hmm. And a third category has just popped into my head. You know part of this story.
Yeah.
So I a while ago sitting at my desk, and all of a sudden there's that 3, 4-year-old boy in spirit rushing to my room, screaming out of excitement, "Mommy, I'm coming!" Like looking at me like,
Yeah.
"Where you're coming? Like that's the wrong
Yeah.
address." And I know other mediums, including you, they've tapped into the soul of that baby. So I've tried to negotiate.
Yeah.
Well, we have free will, so I felt like maybe they
Yeah.
too. So then I asked the baby boy, could you perhaps incarnate in the form of a golden retriever? And my children would really, really like to have a dog. At this
Yeah.
point, my guides started like rolling their eyes,
Yeah.
looking at me. Then I've asked, like, perhaps you could maybe swap souls with a child who's already born.
Hmm.
So yeah, my question for you is because I know you also see the souls that have not come to this world yet.
Yeah.
What messages do they normally have for the people you read for?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's funny you mention that because I actually read a woman a couple days ago, and I kept seeing the two souls around her. So a lot of the time when I see souls that haven't come to this world yet, it's almost like they're popping their head through the portal. That's what I like to say. I kind of will see an image and I'll see their head trying to pop their head through the portal, but it's not time yet. So a lot of the messages those souls have are, I would say, the number one thing is protection. They're protecting the individual that they're gonna be around once they come to the physical world. Like for you, I mentioned, like I feel the soul now
Mm.
as you're mentioning it,
Mm.
but a lot of the times it just comes through as protecting that individual without them even realizing they're being protected. So a lot of the time, souls are around us all the time. My grandfather's here right now. Your
Mm.
grandfather's here right now. It's like they're always here. So it's just a matter of actually knowing that they're protecting us. And a lot of the time they'll pop in through our dreams without us even remembering it or realizing it. That's why I always say keep a dream journal, because they really can just pop in and out, in and out, in and out. So yeah, no, it's really funny how it works like that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, last week I did a reading for someone, and during the session, grandmother came through, and well, she mentioned about a baby boy, and I asked if there was a baby boy in the family,
Yeah.
and the client confirmed that there was, but that he was born in November after the grandmother had passed away.
Right.
However, I still passed on the message because it didn't matter for the grandmother. The message from the grandmother was that she actually held the baby's soul before he was born. So
Yeah.
the grandmother had not missed out on anything. So I do encounter that frequently as well with, well, with the departed loved ones and with the souls of the
Of
baby.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Well, why do you do readings? Tell me.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's funny. I never would have expected myself doing this at all. My mom would always watch Teresa Caputo, the television show for years, a Long Island Medium. And I was always obsessed with it. I was always intrigued and interested with it. But the reason why I do readings now, honestly, is that kind of my spirit guides push me in this path, obviously. But I do it to heal and help people. I never want to see someone going through a negative situation, and I know how it felt a couple years ago going through such a negative situation with my mental health, with my anxiety, depression, things like that. Yeah, I've been in and out in therapy my whole life, so my life's kind of been a mess with that. But to bring it back to a positive note, it's really a matter of knowing you're going to be okay and things like that. So that's what I love helping people with. I love helping people connect with their departed souls that they didn't get a chance to say goodbye to, anything like that, or just a matter of kind of nudging them right on the right direction and letting them know they're going to be okay. So my job really at the end of the day is just to heal someone. I'm just a messenger basically. So just to heal someone. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just to heal someone. I'm a messenger, and the thoughts don't come from me, they come through me. So I always
Mm-hmm.
like to say that to people because not a lot of people understand that. It just comes with people not knowing too much about the space. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that certainly removes lots of pressure. I
Yeah.
remember initially I put so much pressure, and I think it was to do with maybe Catholic upbringing,
Yeah.
because there was that separation between the spirit realm and then, well, as human beings. But then, as I've started connecting with the departed loved ones, I realized exactly it's not about me. And the minute I just remove my ego and I'm just a vessel, and then I just trust and I pass the messages, then actually that
Yeah.
flows better, and then I'm able to help clients to heal much better.
Of
Uh,
course. Yeah.
so how to surrender and trust the divine,
Yeah.
including the timing and order of things?
Yeah, so this can be a tricky question and a tricky answer for a lot of individuals. A lot of people want to hear things now, and they want the answer to be now. They want to hear, I'm going to meet that guy by next week. I'm going to meet that girl by next week. A lot of the times, you really just have to tune into your guidance and know what is coming forth. So, what I like to say basically is always pray to your spirit guides and let them know, basically that you're ready for like the next life change. And I promise you, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. You're going to hear the answer. It's just a matter of how it's coming out. Either you're going to see 11 on the clock, or you're going to see 222. You're going to see a number. You're going to either get a dream. There's going to be some type of interpretation. There's going to be some type of message there. But really surrendering, and really it's really just a matter of putting your life in God's hands and putting your life in spirit's hands to really direct your life in a way that you don't have control over. That's what I kind of like to say. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone does have free will at the end of the day, as you know, things like that. But it's just a matter of really, like for me, I really thought I can control my life, all the path I want to go on. I was gonna like a couple years ago, I said I was gonna be a professional video gamer. I was gonna be a professional streamer. I was gonna do
Mm-hmm.
it, do it, do it. Obviously, that's not where I am today. And I, after actually saying to myself and saying to my guides, saying to spirit in general, I surrender to you. They led me on the right path. So it's really just a matter of yeah, surrendering to especially your God-given gifts, because I do feel that some people are gifted in some things more than another person. Either like not everyone is going to play basketball right away and become Michael Jordan, obviously, as you know. So it's just a matter of actually trusting, yeah, not what you're good at, but what you feel you have a passion for, either you have a gift for, or something like that. So it's just really a matter, it sounds easier said than done, but it's a matter of just trusting that intuition. Again, like I mentioned,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit more about, well, past lives? I know with another friend of ours, we've been exploring past lives. We've been doing
Yeah.
some readings, and I'm wondering what's your view, and if you can tell the viewers and listeners about uh, how perhaps revisiting your past lives can help with reaching an understanding of certain uh, issues that are going on in your current life, or whether it can help you with your own anxiety. Well, what's been your experience, and whether you're planning to revisit it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, past lives can be a fun thing for a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people love past life regression, things like that. What I would actually open me up to past lives was reading Dolores Cannon's books, because
Hmm.
she was a past life regressionist and hypnotist, and she kind of regressed people back to yeah, past lives, and kind of learned why people are experiencing things in this
Hmm.
world. Also, another book which I recommend to so many people, because that was a book that actually opened me up the most, was Many Lives, Many Masters.
Okay.
That's also a great book. But yeah, really, past lives, I feel that when I read people, a lot of past lives things can come through, but they come through for a reason. So it's specific to the individual, but it really depends on why you're feeling that symptom and why that's coming through. So a past life, I feel, comes through for a reason. So let's say I'm reading you, and you have a past life of, I don't know, being home, something like that, and you have neck pain or something like that. There's a reason that's coming through to release that energy.
Hmm.
But at the same time, some people want to know past lives, but it's not always the best to know. It's always what I like to say kind of is, it comes through for a reason. So it's just, past lives can be very, very fun for people, but I wouldn't say don't push it too much, I would say,
Hmm.
because it's not honestly the best to worry about the past. It's just stay present. Don't even worry about the future. Stay present. So that's what I always like to say to people, because so many people want to know what I do in that past life, what I do in that. But at the end of the day, it's not really going to change who you are. It's just a matter of actually releasing that energy and releasing that pressure that you felt from the past life. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Definitely. And trusting our intuition, and,
of
well,
course,
trusting
yeah,
our spirit guides and angels. And if they bring certain aspects of various past lives, then uh, absolutely they can
of
help
course,
us
yeah,
to understand, and then release it, so we don't repeat the patterns of behavior and thinking.
of
Uh,
course, yeah.
well, could you tell me like your final thoughts, or any messages that you would like to leave viewers and listeners with?
Yeah. It's funny actually you messaged me about Archangel Michael, because I had him talking in my ear before. So, the final message I really want to leave off on this note is that I feel like the world is in such a negative place right now, with so many people, I guess you could say, yeah, falling into their thoughts and things like that, falling into that depression, falling into that, especially with this time of the year. I feel like so many people struggle with depression, either with anxiety, something like that. The number one thing I could tell people is really trust that you're going to be okay, because everyone has a divine plan. Everyone has a divine timing. That's what I like to call it. And yeah, use me as an example, I guess you could say. A couple years ago, I did not know that I would be here at all. I didn't even think I was still going to be alive. I didn't even know where I was going to end up. So yeah, use me as an example, and just see that you can be okay. You can really just trust spirit, and leave your life in spirit's hands, and they will take control. And trust me, they will. From my experience, they will. So yeah, that's yeah.
Thank you. So your
Yeah,
guides and angels have been very, very loud today. So I'll just share my message for you
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
with the viewers, listeners, because I
Of
always
course, yeah,
believe everyone is going to benefit. So I've told you before that you have an amazing mother who has your back. And
yeah,
not only she's supporting you, but your loved ones, guides, and angels are so proud of you for persevering and not giving up in the moments when you thought you had no way out. So
yeah,
that lesson of surrendering to the unknown, trusting the divine, that I don't know how, but I know it will work out, is such an indication of the strength of your soul.
Thank you.
You coming here to speak with me, telling your story and showing up vulnerable and authentic is so beautiful. You know it, and I've told you that before, that there's a
Yeah.
big purpose for you here on Earth in mediumship, and not
Yeah.
only. So guys, book your readings with Andrew, because he's already getting busy and he'll soon have a very long waiting list. I just cannot wait to see you spreading your wings and standing
Thank
on
you.
large platforms and doing what you know you're meant to do.
Thank you,
I
Marta.
also truly believe that by telling your story, you give other young people, and not only hope, that there is always hope at the end of even the darkest tunnel. I know you'll continue helping others, saving the lives of others by showing up for who you are and spreading your truth. So do not dim your light.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
And
no, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry to
you're
cut
very welcome. And could you just share with the viewers and listeners where can they find you and how they can book readings with you?
Yeah, so basically it's just my name, like you can see on the bottom left corner of Zoom, Andrew Michilli on Facebook, Andrew Michilli on Instagram, and yeah, you just direct message me, and yeah, you can book a reading through there. So yeah,
And I'll add your email address under the description of the podcast as well.
thank you.
Well, thank you for coming and speaking with me. And I want to say thank you to all of the viewers and listeners. Goodbye.
All right, thank you, Marta.